There's a moment in the wilderness when the wind stops just long enough for you to hear something you didn't know you were listening for. A sound softer than silence, a whisper woven into the stillness. That's how the voice of God often begins. Not with thunder, not with fire, but with a whisper. Not because he's distant, but because he's close. So close, you'd miss him if you're only looking for something loud. You see, most people think God only speaks through burning bushes and parted seas, but sometimes he speaks through a moment of discomfort, a delay, an ache you can't name, a stranger's words, a door that won't open, no matter how hard you push. The whisper is real, the wilderness is holy, and if you're listening now, you're already closer than you think. I need you to know this, you are not lost, even if you don't know where you're going. Even if you feel like you've been wandering for years, spiritually dry, emotionally tired, wondering if the silence means you're forgotten, it doesn't. The silence is not punishment, it's invitation. God whispers in the wilderness because it's the only place quiet enough for you to truly hear. You've been surrounded by noise for so long, opinions, expectations, distractions, doubts, and somewhere in all of it, you stopped listening to the one voice that matters most, yours, his, the echo between them. Isaiah 30:21 says, "And your ears shall hear a word behind you, saying, This is the way, walk in it, when you turn to the right or when you turn to the left." He is speaking, but are you listening? Maybe you've gotten good at surviving, faking peace, moving fast, staying busy. Maybe you've told yourself you don't need signs, that you've got it under control. But control is the enemy of trust and fear. Fear is the liar whispering louder than God. Fear says, you're on your own. Truth says, I will never leave you. Fear says, you've missed it. Grace says, I'll meet you where you are. Listen. Not with your ears, but with your soul. There are signs all around you. Divine breadcrumbs dropped in the ordinary. That stranger who said exactly what you needed to hear. That dream that keeps coming back. That door that slammed shut so loudly it shook something awake inside of you. That's not random. That's the whisper. You've been told to seek answers. But what if the answers have been seeking you? What if the wilderness isn't a detour, but a design? God isn't punishing you, he's preparing you. This isn't exile, it's encounter. You're being stripped of noise so you can be clothed in clarity. Picture this, you're standing at the edge of everything you feared. Tired, heavy, unsure, but still. There's a wind brushing your cheek, a stillness asking you to stop running. A presence you can't quite name, yet it fills your chest like breath. That's him. You don't need to chase signs anymore. You are in one, right now, right here. You don't need to force what's meant for you. You don't need to shout over the silence. You don't need to be perfect to be pursued. You just need to be still long enough to hear. You are not crazy. You are not behind. You are not too late. You are being called. You are being chosen. The whisper is waiting on your attention. So drop the distractions. Lay down the false strength. Let the fear go. You can, you will, you must, because the world doesn't need another voice echoing fear. It needs your voice awakened by truth. You are not wandering. You are being led. You are not broken. You are breaking through. Now is your time, so pause, listen, lean in. God is whispering. Don't make him shout. There's a kind of death that doesn't come with a casket. No funeral, no tears, just silence, drifting, existing instead of living. It's the death of the soul that stops caring, spiritual apathy. It doesn't scream, it sighs. It doesn't rebel, it shrugs. And it's far more dangerous than we think. Because when the enemy can't destroy you with chaos, he'll seduce you with comfort. He doesn't need to pull you backward. He only needs to make you still, still enough to ignore, still enough to delay, still enough to let your fire die out without even realizing it. You wake up, you scroll, you survive, you call it peace, but deep down, You know it's numbness. You know you've gone quiet in the places that once burned bright. And I'm not here to shame you. I'm here to wake you, to reach into the fog you didn't know you were in, and remind you. This is not who you are. You weren't created to drift. You weren't designed to coast. You were made to move mountains with mustard seed faith. You were built to carry glory, not just groceries and grievances. Revelation 3:16 cuts deep. Because you are lukewarm, neither hot nor cold, I will spit you out of my mouth. That's not anger, that's heartbreak. It's the voice of a God who longs for your whole heart, not just your Sunday mornings and whispered prayers before bed. And I get it. Life is heavy. You've been through storms. You've been let down. You've waited and waited. And maybe somewhere in the waiting you stopped expecting. You stopped listening. You stopped hoping. But spiritual apathy is not a side effect. It's a strategy. It's the enemy's subtle way of making you ineffective. Not evil, not rebellious, just numb. And numbness kills more dreams than failure ever could. It's time to rise. It's time to remember who you are and whose you are. You are the child of a God who breathes stars into the sky and calls you beloved. You are the temple of the Holy Spirit, not a hollow shell just trying to make it through the week. You are not made for apathy. You are made for awakening. C.S. Lewis once said, "The safest road to hell is the gradual one. The gentle slope, soft underfoot, without sudden turnings, without milestones, without signposts. That's what apathy looks like. Not a fall, a fade, so hear me. You may be tired, you may be unsure, you may not feel worthy, but that doesn't disqualify you, that prepares you, because when you can't feel God, that's when He's testing your faith, not your feelings. And right now, this moment, you have a choice to stay lukewarm, or to burn again, to settle for numbness, or to step into revival. Picture this, you standing in the middle of your life, not the version others see, but the one that still longs to feel again, to hear again, to live again. You're not too far gone. You're not too late. You're not too broken. You are called. You are seen. You are loved with a fire that no apathy can put out. So rise, stir your spirit. Cry out if you have to, but don't stay asleep. The world needs you awake. Your purpose needs your passion, and heaven is still calling. You can, you will, you must, because spiritual apathy is not your identity. It's a season you are leaving behind. Right now, right here, so declare it. I will not be numb. I will not drift. I will burn again. Say it until you believe it. Say it until the heavens echo back, welcome home. This is your moment, not to feel something, but to choose something. Choose fire, choose faith, choose life, and don't wait another day. Comment it, declare it. I'm awake, because that's how it begins, not with a shout, but with a whisper that says, I'm ready now. Imagine standing in an open field, no fences, no signs, just endless space in every direction. Freedom, right, but what if I told you that wide, empty space could also be a trap? Because not all freedom is real. Some freedom is a mask, some liberty is just a leash in disguise. We've been sold a lie, wrapped in shiny words like choice, autonomy, do what makes you happy. But here's the truth, when you sever freedom from wisdom, it doesn't lead to life. It leads to wandering. And some of us are wandering right now, not because we're weak, not because we're evil, but because we confused free will with the right to ignore the voice of God. We called it freedom, but it was just the absence of surrender. There's a difference between being free and being untethered. You feel it, don't you, that restlessness, that ache, the kind that doesn't go away with success or validation or even spiritual talk. Because deep down, you know, you've been choosing your own way for so long, you forgot how to recognize the shepherd's voice, but he hasn't stopped speaking. Deuteronomy 30:19 says, I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose life so that you and your children may live. That's real free will, not choosing anything, but choosing life. Choosing obedience, choosing purpose, choosing the narrow path when the wide one feels easier. You were never meant to be driven by impulse or reaction or emotion alone. You were meant to be led by truth, by conviction, by the whisper of the Holy Spirit deep within. But we live in a world that glorifies doing whatever you want. It tells you, follow your heart. But Jeremiah 17:9 says the heart is deceitful above all things. It tells you, no one can tell you what's right for you. But Proverbs 14:12 warns, there is a way that seems right to a man, but in the end it leads to death. Do you see it now? The enemy of your soul doesn't just want to chain you. He wants you to love your chains, to defend them as your right, to call sin freedom, to call rebellion self-discovery, to call isolation independence. But listen to me carefully. You are not made to be your own God. You are not built to carry your own universe. You are not free if you're still a slave to your own voice. True freedom begins the moment you submit. Yes, I said it. Submission, the word we fear, the word we dodge. The word that sounds like weakness to a prideful world. But submission to God is not defeat, it's deliverance. It's the moment the weight comes off, the moment the fog lifts, the moment you stop chasing counterfeit freedom and step into real authority. You were created to reign, but only under the King. And yes, you've made choices. Yes, maybe you've wandered. Maybe you've said, I don't need help. I know what I'm doing. But if you're honest, that voice in you, the quiet one, the one you keep pushing down, it's been telling you the truth all along. You're not as free as you pretend, but here's the beauty, you can come back. You can choose again. You can lay down false freedom and pick up the fire of purpose. And it starts right here, right now, not by striving, not by fixing everything overnight, but by surrendering, by saying, God, I thought I knew best, but I'm ready to listen again. You can. You will, you must. You are not bound to your past decisions. You are not trapped in your pride. You are not a prisoner unless you choose to be, and I believe you're done choosing chains. I believe you're ready to rise. Picture this, you standing at the edge of everything you've controlled, and you feel it. Your soul is tired of steering the ship. You look up, and for the first time in a long time, you let go. That's not weakness. That's real strength, because obedience isn't a cage, it's a compass. It doesn't limit you, it leads you, it doesn't hold you back, it sets you free. So take the leap, declare it out loud. I want real freedom, I choose life, I surrender. Say it until your soul believes it. Because today is not about losing yourself, it's about finding yourself finally, fully, fearlessly, in the hands of the one who made you. Now is your time. Comment it, speak it, reflect on it, choose life. Choose surrender, choose the freedom only heaven can give. There's something unsettling about the way truth walks into a room. It never shouts at first. It enters quietly, cloaked in the voice of someone you'd rather ignore. A friend, a stranger, a preacher on a street corner, a late night thought that won't let you sleep, a sentence in a book you didn't expect to read. Prophets don't always look like prophets. Sometimes they wear brokenness like a garment. Sometimes they stumble. Sometimes they speak in riddles that sting. And too often, we mock what we do not understand. We mock what makes us uncomfortable. We mock what reflects the truth we've buried deep. Jesus said in Matthew 23:37, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, you who kill the prophets and stone those sent to you, how often I have longed to gather your children together, but you were not willing, not willing. That's the ache, that's the tragedy. It's not that the prophets were silent, it's that the people stopped listening, and we do it too. We say we want revelation, but when it comes wrapped in conviction, when it confronts our comfort, we laugh. We dismiss, we roll our eyes and say, that's too much, too extreme, too intense, that's not my vibe. But truth doesn't come to flatter your vibe, it comes to free your soul, and freedom is rarely polite. You've seen it, heard it, felt it, that strange resistance you get when someone speaks what your spirit knows is true. But your pride isn't ready to admit. That's the war, not between you and them, but between you and what God is trying to awaken in you. And the enemy, he doesn't need to silence every prophet. He just needs to convince you not to listen. He'll make their voice sound foolish. He'll bring up their flaws. He'll remind you of their past. He'll say they're just being dramatic. Who do they think they are? But remember this, the truth can come from flawed lips and still be holy. Moses stuttered, Elijah ran, Jeremiah wept. John the Baptist wore camel hair and ate locusts. Even Jesus, the Son of God, was mocked, ridiculed, rejected, crucified by the very people he came to save. The prophets you mock today may be the monuments you build tomorrow, if it's not too late. So I want to ask you something hard but honest. Who have you tuned out because they made you uncomfortable? What message have you labeled as too religious, too much, too confrontational, when deep down you knew it was God knocking? Be careful. Sometimes the most dangerous thing you can do is laugh at what heaven sends, because mockery is not neutral. It's a defense. It protects your ego while your spirit starves. It builds walls when God is trying to build altars. But hear me, you are not beyond hearing. You are not too proud to change. You are not too far from the truth to return to it. You can, you will, you must. Because something inside of you is still awake, still searching for that voice. And maybe, just maybe, that voice is speaking right now, not with judgment, but with mercy, not to shame you, but to shatter the silence that's kept you stuck. Picture this, you're sitting in the quiet after everyone else has gone, the laughter has faded, the distractions have died down, and in the stillness you hear it, that voice, the one you ignored, the one you rolled your eyes at, the one that sounded crazy but felt like fire in your bones. That was God, and he's still speaking. This time don't mock it, don't brush it off, don't crucify the conviction that was sent to rescue you. Open your heart again, say it. I won't mock the message, I won't shut down truth, I will listen, because the next time truth comes, it might be the last time you hear it in that form. This is a moment of mercy. A crack in the noise, a whisper you weren't expecting. Let it in. You are capable. You are chosen. You are called to more. Now is your time. Comment it. Declare it. Reflect on it. I will listen. That's how transformation begins. Not with thunder, but with surrender. With a heart that says, I won't mock the messenger. I'm ready for the message. You can build a castle out of your own understanding, tall, towering, impressive, brick by brick, thought by thought, calculation by calculation. It looks strong, but then the storm comes and you realize it wasn't a castle, it was a cage. That's what happens when you worship logic. Not reason, not wisdom, not discernment, but logic, stripped of wonder. Truth, stripped of trust, faith, buried beneath formulas. We live in a world that bows to intellect. If it can't be proven, it isn't real. If it can't be measured, it doesn't matter. If it doesn't fit the algorithm, delete it. But you were not created for a life that fits inside a spreadsheet. You were created to believe, to risk, to trust the unseen, and faith will always offend the mind before it transforms the heart. Hebrews 11:1 says, Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Not seen, not explained, not verified by logic. That's the scandal of the Spirit. He leads you where your logic can't follow. And that's where the fear comes in, doesn't it? because logic feels safe. It gives you the illusion of control. If you can predict it, you can't be hurt by it. If you can map it, you won't get lost in it. But there are places God wants to take you. That logic will never let you go. You're here listening now because something deeper than reason is waking up inside you. A longing, a question, a whisper. What if I've been limiting God to what I can understand? What if my need to figure it out has kept me from stepping out? It's not your brain that's the enemy. It's the idolatry of it. It's when you lean on your own understanding more than you lean on the everlasting arms. It's when you trust your intellect over his intimacy. It's when you build your life around control, not calling. And it's time to break that idol, because your breakthrough won't always make sense. Your healing might not follow a plan. Your next step might come wrapped in mystery, but God is in the mystery, and he's calling you forward. Picture this. You're standing at the edge of everything you've calculated. Your logic has brought you this far, but the bridge ends here, and in front of you is the unknown, not chaos, but calling, and God says, step. No more spreadsheets, no more perfect timing, just a step. That's where the miracle lives, not behind understanding, but beyond it. C.S. Lewis once said, I believe in Christianity as I believe the sun has risen, not only because I see it, but because by it I see everything else. Faith is not blindness. Faith is illumination, and you are capable of walking in that light. You are not chained to your doubts. You are not ruled by your intellect. You are not required to have all the answers before you say yes. You can, you will, you must, because the life God has for you isn't waiting on your logic. It's waiting on your obedience. So let go of the idol, break the illusion, lay down the need to understand everything before you trust anything. You were never meant to worship a map. You were made to follow the man who is the way. Right now, choose faith, not because it makes sense, but because it sets you free. Say it out loud. I won't be ruled by logic. I choose trust. I choose faith. I choose God. Say it again if you have to. Say it until your fear listens. Say it until your spirit stands tall. This is your moment to let go of the cage, to leave the castle of control, and walk into the wild, wonder-filled Holy Spirit-led life you were born for. Comment it, declare it, reflect on it. I choose faith over logic, because logic builds limits, but faith builds legacy, and yours is just beginning. You were walking your path, doing everything right, or so you thought. The routine made sense, the steps were ordered, the plan was in place, and then, suddenly, everything changed, the door closed, the job fell through, the person left, the diagnosis came, the silence hit harder than the noise ever did. And in that moment you thought, what did I do wrong? But hear this now with your whole heart. Not every disruption is the devil. Some are divine. Sometimes God wrecks your plans because your plans were about to wreck you. Sometimes he interrupts not to punish you, but to preserve you, to realign what you didn't even know was off, to protect you from a future you were rushing toward too blindly, to reset your course before the wrong road becomes your prison. That's what a divine disruption is, not a rejection, a redirection. Proverbs 16:9 says, the heart of man plans his way, but the Lord establishes his steps. You had a plan, but God had a promise, and sometimes those collide. You see, we think peace comes from predictable steps, but the truth is, peace only lives in surrendered steps, and that interruption you're facing right now, that closed door, that broken road, that painful pause, it might just be mercy in disguise. I know it doesn't feel like it. It feels like confusion. It feels like failure. It feels like being forgotten. But what if you're not being abandoned? You're being rerouted. God will interrupt your life to protect your calling. He will derail your comfort to deliver you into destiny. He will shake the ground to wake your spirit, because the greatest moments of transformation don't come when life goes as planned. They come when God steps in and says, "Not this way. I have something better." And yes, the weight is hard, the silence is heavy, the questions are loud, but you're not alone in this. You are being led even when you feel lost. You are being held even when you feel dropped. You are being refined, not rejected, and you are not weak for feeling overwhelmed. You are not faithless because you're confused. You are not behind. You are becoming. You can, you will, you must, because divine disruptions don't break you. They build you. They make you wrestle with what really matters. They push you deeper into trust. They teach you to let go of what was never yours and cling to what can't be taken. Picture this. You're standing at the edge of everything you planned, staring at the rubble of what used to make sense. And just when you think all is lost, he speaks, not with thunder, but with clarity. This is not the end. This is the beginning, because his ways are higher, his thoughts are deeper, his timing is perfect, and he is not in the business of waste. Even this moment, this exact delay, this detour, this heartbreak is sacred ground. It's holy fire, not random pain. It's the setting of the stage for what's next. You are not cursed. You are being called forward, so breathe, trust again, loosen your grip. Let the plan die if it must, so the promise can live. Say it now. I trust the detour. I welcome the disruption. I surrender the plan. Say it until the fear bows. Say it until your faith rises. Say it until the future opens wide. This is not the breakdown. This is the breakthrough. You are capable. You are covered. You are chosen for such a time as this. Now is your time. Comment it, declare it, reflect on it. I won't resist the disruption. I will rise through it, because the thing that shook you might just be the thing that shaped you, and the life God is building for you on the other side is more than you ever dared to dream. In the stillness of the night, when the world goes quiet and your thoughts begin to echo, heaven speaks. Not with thunder, not with lightning, but in symbols, in stories, in dreams. Dreams are not just the mind's theatre. They are windows, whispers, sacred letters sealed in mystery, sent from the throne of God to the soul of a searching heart. And you've had them, those strange dreams you couldn't shake, that recurring image, that person who showed up again and again, the feeling you couldn't explain when you woke up, like something was trying to reach you. Maybe it was, because dreams are heaven's language. From Genesis to Revelation, God speaks in visions of the night. He warned Pharaoh. He guided Joseph. He gave Daniel secrets of nations. He whispered to wise men in their sleep and told them which road to take. So what makes you think he stopped? He hasn't. The dreams didn't die. But maybe your attention did, because the world trained you to dismiss them, to say, "It's just my imagination," to silence the stirring, to brush off the message. But your spirit remembers. It knows when something holy is happening. And right now, I believe God is stirring that knowing back to life. You are not crazy. You are not making it up. You are not overthinking. You are being spoken to, because you are loved too much to be left without guidance. Sometimes God uses dreams to say what your waking life is too distracted to hear. Sometimes he speaks in images because your logic would kill the message if it came in words. Sometimes a dream is the seed of a future you haven't had the courage to imagine yet. But here's the battle. The enemy wants to steal your night so he can silence your destiny. He'll drown you in nightmares, in confusion, in fear. He'll convince you not to care, not to listen, not to believe. He'll distract your soul so deeply that when heaven speaks, you sleep right through it, but not anymore, not you, not now, because something in you is waking up. You can, you will, you must reclaim the night. You must open your ears when the world closes its eyes. You must ask God to speak again and believe he still does. Picture this, you lying in your bed, the darkness soft around you, and suddenly, without warning, heaven brushes against your soul. A dream takes you to a place you've never been. You see yourself doing things you never thought you could. You feel his nearness in the color, the motion, the metaphor. And when you wake up, you know something happened, something shifted, something spoke. That's not random, that's not meaningless, that's divine. You are not too far to receive. You are not too numb to hear. You are not too unworthy to be chosen. You are a vessel. You are a dreamer. You are a receiver of mysteries. Now is your time. So tonight, ask boldly, God, speak to me. Even in my sleep, I am listening. Say it. Declare it. Write it. I will not ignore my dreams. I will seek their meaning. I will listen for heaven. And when he speaks through images, symbols, echoes, and visions, you will know. This is not your imagination. This is your invitation to dream, to discern, to follow the cloud by night and the fire by day. Because dreams are not just for the ancient prophets, they are for the hungry, the humble, the ready. You are ready. Comment it, declare it, reflect on it. I am listening, even in my dreams. And let that be the moment heaven draws near, not with noise, but with a whisper so vivid, it changes everything. There are moments when the world goes quiet, but not in peace moments when the silence is so loud it feels like it's screaming. Have you heard it? The silence that rattles your chest at 2 a.m. That blank space in a text, thread the voicemail that never comes, the prayer that goes unanswered, the sky that gives no sign. It's not just emptiness, it's weight. It's not just stillness, it's tension. A sacred hush that presses into your spirit and dares you to break. This is the silence that screams, and it doesn't whisper your name like a lover. It stares you down like a mirror, and maybe that's the point. Because not every silence is abandonment. Sometimes silence is the refining fire, the quiet furnace where faith is forged, not by what you hear, but by what you choose to believe in the absence. You've felt it. You've asked questions that never got answers. You've stood in the gap between what God promised and what you see right now, and all you heard in response was nothing, a holy pause, a painful hush. But listen, even silence has a voice. The absence of sound doesn't mean the absence of presence. When Jesus stood before Pilate, he answered nothing. When Job demanded justice, God waited. When the world went dark at the crucifixion, heaven didn't rush to explain. Because there are things too deep for words, things that only silence can hold. And maybe right now, that's where you are, in the in-between, in the aching stillness, in the void where you wonder, God, are you even listening? But here's the truth, he is not ignoring you, he is preparing you, because silence is not punishment. Silence is an invitation to press in, to listen closer, to let your roots grow deeper when the rain doesn't fall. This is where faith gets its backbone, not when everything is obvious, but when nothing makes sense, and you believe anyway. You can, you will, you must rise above the lie that says God's silence is rejection. You must rise above the fear that your prayers are wasted. You must rise above the voice in your head that says you're alone. Because you're not. You're never alone. Even in the silence, you are seen. You are held. You are not forgotten. God is still working behind the curtain of your comprehension. He is not a God who needs to shout to be sovereign. He often speaks the loudest in the quiet, so listen again, not with your ears, but with your spirit. Picture this, you're standing in a dense forest, moonlight filtering through the branches, no wind, no birds, no footsteps, just stillness, but something is alive, something is near, your skin feels it, your heart senses it, and in that moment, silence becomes sacred. You realize you don't need noise to feel presence. You don't need a sign to keep walking. You don't need a full explanation to keep trusting. You just need to remember, He's still here, and so are you. So rise. Rise with faith that doesn't flinch. Rise with trust that doesn't demand a blueprint. Rise with courage that looks silence in the face and says, I will still believe. You are capable. Now is your time. Don't let the silence break you. Let it build you. Declare this now. I will not fear the silence. I will walk by faith. I will trust the unseen. Say it again until your soul believes it. I am not abandoned. I am becoming. Let the silence train your ears to hear heaven. Let the hush be holy. Let the stillness be strength. And when the time is right, when the season shifts, when the silence gives way to sound again, you will know. You didn't just survive it. You grew in it. You didn't just wait. You worshipped in the quiet. Comment it. Declare it. Reflect on it. I will not run from the silence. I will meet God in the middle of it. Because even the silence that screams is still under His command. And He never wastes a moment, not even the quiet ones. You wake up and it feels like déjà vu. Same thoughts, same patterns, same cycle. The morning sun rises, but you don't. You move through the day like a ghost of yourself, haunted by habits, chained to choices you never fully chose, trapped in a carousel that spins and spins but never moves forward. And maybe you've asked yourself in the quiet, why does this keep happening? Why do I always end up back here? Why can't I break free? This is the mirror of repetition, not just a pattern, a prophecy, a sacred reflection, revealing not who you pretend to be, but who you've agreed to be in the shadows. You think it's life repeating itself? But it's not life, it's you. And here's the truth that stings before it saves. What you do repeatedly reveals what you truly believe. Your routines are sermons. Your habits preach, and the altar they worship at. Your identity, God gives you freedom, but repetition reveals what you've done with that freedom. Even the Apostle Paul said, the things I want to do, I do not do, but the things I hate, I keep on doing. That's not weakness. That's war, a spiritual war inside your mind. You are not broken. You are battling. And here's the enemy: comfort that masquerades as safety, familiarity that whispers, at least here, you know how to suffer, lies dressed in logic, trauma turned tradition, a cycle that pretends to be protection, but is really a prison. But listen to me now, the cycle is not the curse, the blindness to it is, and once you see it, you can break it. You will break it. You must break it, because you were not created to live the same day on repeat, to run in circles, to return to the same wilderness again and again and call it home. You are not meant to be a wanderer. You are called to be a warrior. So look in the mirror. Really look, not at your face, but at your patterns. What do they reflect? Who do they serve? What story do they keep telling about who you are and who you'll never be? The enemy hopes you never ask. The devil doesn't need you to fail. He just needs you to repeat. Because if he can get you stuck in the loop, he doesn't need chains. He only needs silence. He only needs your surrender to the same. But hear me now. Today can be the line in the sand. The moment you choose to disrupt what's been controlling you, you can, you will, you must, because you are not your past. You are not your patterns. You are not the broken record of your bloodline. You are the breaker of it. You are capable. Now is your time. Picture this. You're standing in front of a mirror, but this time it's not showing your reflection. It's showing your future. If you keep doing what you've always done, do you like what you see, or are you ready to shatter the illusion and step into truth? Imagine standing at the edge of everything you feared. One more step, and the cycle ends. One more decision, and the pattern breaks. One more act of courage, and heaven rushes in to meet you. Let it happen. You don't have to understand every step. You just have to take the next one. Break the silence, break the routine, break the curse. Declare this out loud. I will not be ruled by repetition. I am more than my patterns. I choose freedom. Say it until the atmosphere shifts. Say it until the mirror cracks. Say it until the old you can't find a way back in. Because God does not call you to loops. He calls you to life, to legacy, to forward motion, to transformation. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for the mirror to change. Be the change, comment it, declare it, reflect on it. I break the cycle. I choose something new. I follow the voice of God, not the voice of my past. This is your awakening. This is your battle cry. This is your moment. Step out of the loop and into the life you were always meant to live. There's a silence deeper than the absence of sound, a silence that echoes through your spirit like wind through an abandoned house. A silence that doesn't come from peace, but from distance. This is the exile of the soul, not a place you travel to, not a punishment God throws at you. It's a place within where you've wandered so far from who you are that even your own voice sounds foreign. You wake up and you feel it, that dull ache, not depression exactly, not anxiety, just a quiet emptiness that you can't explain, like your soul packed its bags and left, and forgot to tell your body. You go through your day doing the right things, answering emails, making people laugh, showing up, but inside you're missing, and maybe it started slowly. One compromise here, one unhealed wound there, one unanswered prayer that made you doubt, one disappointment that made you settle, and now you're here in exile, not punished, just distant. It's what happened to the prodigal son. He didn't just leave his father's house. He left himself. He traded inheritance for hunger. He forgot his name, until he remembered whose name he carried. That's where you are, not forgotten, not unworthy, just far from home, far from alignment, far from that first love that once made you burn with purpose. But you are not too far to return, because here's the truth. Exile is not the end. Exile is a signal, a sacred whisper that says, come back. Come back to the fire. Come back to the voice that called you out of the dark. Come back to the garden before shame dressed you in lies. This world will try to normalize your exile. It will call numbness maturity. It will say, everyone's tired. It will hand you coping mechanisms dressed in self-care. But coping is not healing, and exile is not your destiny. You were made for communion, not just connection with people, but connection with purpose. Connection with the God who wrote your name into the fabric of eternity. The enemy knows if he can keep you in exile, he doesn't need to kill you. He just needs you to forget who you are. Forget the fire. Forget the promises. Forget the calling that once made you weep when you were alone. But not anymore. You are remembering now, and that is dangerous to the dark, because a soul that remembers is a soul that returns. You can, you will, you must picture this. You're standing in a field, dust on your shoes, hunger in your chest, and far in the distance, you see the house you left, and someone is running toward you. Not with shame, not with wrath, but with open arms, because God is not waiting for perfection. He's waiting for return. You are not disqualified. You are not too late. You are not beyond the reach of grace. Now is your time to come home, to reconnect, to remember. Remember who you are. Remember who He is. Remember the dreams He gave you in the silence, the promises He whispered in the dark, the strength He built in you, when you didn't think you'd survive. This exile was not wasted. It made you thirsty. It made you desperate. And sometimes desperation is the doorway to divine alignment. So rise. Shake the dust off your spirit. Look in the mirror and speak life to what you thought was dead. Say it with me. I will not die in exile. I am coming home to myself. I am returning to my calling. I am aligned with heaven. Let your soul hear it. Let the angels echo it. Let the darkness flee from it. Comment it. Declare it. Reflect on it. This is the end of my exile. Say it until your heart believes it. Say it until the heavens respond. You were never meant to live far from yourself. Far from your source, far from your destiny. Come back. The door is still open, and your name is still on the Father's lips. Grace doesn't always show up in white robes and gentle breezes. Sometimes grace arrives like a storm in your kitchen, shattered glass on the floor, tears in your eyes, and everything in your life feeling out of place. Mercy shows up in the mess. And if you're waiting for the chaos to calm before you believe God is near, you may miss the very moment He's closest. Because this is the kind of God we serve, the one who stepped into the dirt of the garden, the blood of Gethsemane, the shadows of our shame, not to avoid the mess, but to redeem it. He's not waiting on the other side of your storm. He's in it, right now, right here, in your confusion, in your breakdown, in your honest questions that feel like accusations, in the room where you're too tired to pray, but too desperate not to hope. You are not too messy for mercy. You are not too broken for belonging. You are not too far gone to be gathered back. God is not disgusted by your weakness. He is drawn to it. Scripture says, a bruised reed He will not break, and a smoldering wick He will not snuff out. That means even if your faith is just smoke and flickers, He still calls it fire. Even if your hope is held together by trembling fingers, He still calls it holy. You've been lied to, told that you have to clean yourself up to be used, that God only walks in polished places. But it was the bleeding woman who touched His robe. It was the leper He touched with bare hands. It was the thief on the cross He welcomed into paradise. He is not afraid of what you're ashamed of. He is not distant from your disaster. He is mercy in the middle of your mess. And I know you've made mistakes. You've repeated patterns. You've fallen again and again into the same trap, and wondered if grace has an expiration date. It doesn't. His mercies are new every morning, not recycled, not diluted, new, like fresh rain on dry ground, like sunlight cracking through a prison window, like the first breath after the drowning. You can begin again, you will rise again, you must keep going. Picture this. You're standing in a room of shattered pieces, relationships, dreams, trust, even parts of yourself. And there in the center is Jesus. Not judging, not rushing, just holding the broom in one hand, and your hand in the other, whispering, we'll rebuild, together. You are not alone. You are not forsaken. You are not too late. Let go of the lie that says you have to have it all together. Perfection was never the prerequisite for purpose. Wounds can still speak wisdom. Pain can still birth promise. And maybe, just maybe, this mess is the holy ground of your next miracle. You are not what you've been through. You are not the storm that hit you. You are not the voice that shamed you. You are chosen. You are being remade. You are already loved. So lift your head. Look at the ruins and call them sacred. Look at the bruises and call them beautiful. Look at the breaking and call it becoming, because mercy isn't looking for perfection. It's looking for permission to enter, to heal, to restore. You don't have to hide. You don't have to fake it. You don't have to earn it. Just open your hands, open your heart, and say, I receive mercy in my mess. Say it now, declare it. Write it in the comments. Whisper it if that's all you can manage. But own it. This mess is not my end. It's my meeting place with God. You can. You will, You must. This is the sacred chaos of becoming. This is the holy work of restoration. This is the battlefield of mercy, and you, beloved, you are not losing, you are being rebuilt, right here, right now, in the mess. There comes a moment in every soul's journey when the fog begins to lift, and you don't know how or why, but suddenly what was blurred becomes clear, like scales falling from your eyes. Like thunder rolling back to silence, like waking up from a long, heavy dream, this is the return, not just the return to a place, but to a presence, to the voice you used to hear in the quiet, to the whisper that never left, only waited, to the you that you buried beneath fear, approval, and performance. Jesus said, "He who has ears, let him hear." But not everyone does, because hearing isn't about volume, it's about surrender. Seeing isn't about eyesight, it's about awakening. You can live your whole life walking right beside the sacred and never see it. You can hear 1,000 sermons and never be moved. But then one moment comes, one disruption, one whisper, one sentence. And suddenly, you see, you hear, you return. You remember who you were before the world told you who to be. You remember the fire before the numbness. You remember the wonder before the weariness. And that moment is holy. That moment is now. Maybe you've wandered far. Maybe you've silenced every divine nudge with logic, fear, or pride. Maybe you've filled your life with noise so you wouldn't have to hear the truth. But grace has a way of reaching even the deaf, even the blind, even the stubborn, even you. There's no shame in the wandering. The shame is in refusing to return when you've been called home, and you're being called right now, not by a preacher, not by a podcast, by the Spirit, by the one who knows your name and still wants you anyway. The enemy would love for you to stay asleep, to keep running in circles, to scroll yourself into a coma of comparison and comfort. But your soul is too sacred for that. You were born for more than survival. You were born to see. You were born to hear. You were born to rise. Picture this. You're standing at the edge of everything you thought was gone. Joy, purpose, faith. You see it now, not as far away, but right in front of you, waiting for your yes, waiting for your turning. And what does it take? Not perfection, not performance, just perception. A moment of clarity, a crack in the armor, a whisper of truth breaking through the noise. Can you feel it? Something shifting, something waking, something eternal calling your name. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't need to map the whole path. You just need to open your eyes and say yes, yes to the return, yes to the real you, yes to the God who still believes in you even when you stopped believing in him. You are not too lost. You are not too late. You are not too far. You are loved. You are pursued. You are remembered. So return. Return to the stillness. Return to the whisper. Return to the road that leads you back to the fire. You can, you will, you must. Declare it now. I will not live blind. I will not live deaf. I return with eyes to see and ears to hear. Say it again. Let heaven hear it. Let hell tremble from it. I return. I see. I hear. I'm home. Now is your time. Now is the shift. Now is the moment you wake up and never go back. Choose it, speak it, live it. The return has begun and you are ready. Shake the dust off your spirit. Look in the mirror and speak life to what you thought was dead. Say it with me. I will not die in exile. I am coming home to myself. I am returning to my calling. I am aligned with heaven. Let your soul hear it. Let the angels echo it. Let the darkness flee from it. Comment it. Declare it. Reflect on it. This is the end of my exile. Say it until your heart believes it. Say it until the heavens respond. You were never meant to live far from yourself. Far from your source, far from your destiny. Come back. the door is still open, and your name is still on the Father's lips. Grace doesn't always show up in white robes and gentle breezes. Sometimes grace arrives like a storm in your kitchen, shattered glass on the floor, tears in your eyes, and everything in your life feeling out of place. Mercy shows up in the mess. And if you're waiting for the chaos to calm before you believe God is near, you may miss the very moment He's closest. Because this is the kind of God we serve, the one who stepped into the dirt of the garden, the blood of Gethsemane, the shadows of our shame, not to avoid the mess, but to redeem it. He's not waiting on the other side of your storm. He's in it, right now, right here, in your confusion, in your breakdown, in your honest questions that feel like accusations, in the room where you're too tired to pray, but too desperate not to hope. You are not too messy for mercy. You are not too broken for belonging. You are not too far gone to be gathered back. God is not disgusted by your weakness. He is drawn to it. Scripture says, a bruised reed He will not break, and a smouldering wick He will not snuff out. That means even if your faith is just smoke and flickers, He still calls it fire. Even if your hope is held together by trembling fingers, He still calls it holy. You've been lied to, told that you have to clean yourself up to be used, that God only walks in polished places. But it was the bleeding woman who touched His robe. It was the leper He touched with bare hands. It was the thief on the cross He welcomed into paradise. He is not afraid of what you're ashamed of. He is not distant from your disaster. He is mercy in the middle of your mess. And I know you've made mistakes. You've repeated patterns. You've fallen again and again into the same trap, and wondered if grace has an expiration date. It doesn't. His mercies are new every morning, not recycled, not diluted, new, like fresh rain on dry ground, like sunlight cracking through a prison window, like the first breath after the drowning. You can begin again, you will rise again, you must keep going. Picture this. You're standing in a room of shattered pieces, relationships, dreams, trust, even parts of yourself. And there in the center is Jesus. Not judging, not rushing, just holding the broom in one hand, and your hand in the other, whispering, we'll rebuild, together. You are not alone. You are not forsaken. You are not too late. Let go of the lie that says you have to have it all together. Perfection was never the prerequisite for purpose. Wounds can still speak wisdom. Pain can still birth promise. And maybe, just maybe, this mess is the holy ground of your next miracle. You are not what you've been through. You are not the storm that hit you. You are not the voice that shamed you. You are chosen. You are being remade. You are already loved. So lift your head. Look at the ruins and call them sacred. Look at the bruises and call them beautiful. Look at the breaking and call it becoming, because mercy isn't looking for perfection. It's looking for permission to enter, to heal, to restore. You don't have to hide. You don't have to fake it. You don't have to earn it. Just open your hands, open your heart, and say, I receive mercy in my mess. Say it now, declare it. Write it in the comments. Whisper it if that's all you can manage. But own it. This mess is not my end. It's my meeting place with God. You can. You will. You must. This is the sacred chaos of becoming. This is the holy work of restoration. This is the battlefield of mercy. And you, beloved, you are not losing. You are being rebuilt. Right here. Right now. In the mess. There comes a moment in every soul's journey when the fog begins to lift, and you don't know how or why, but suddenly what was blurred becomes clear, like scales falling from your eyes, like thunder rolling back to silence, like waking up from a long, heavy dream. This is the return, not just the return to a place, but to a presence, to the voice you used to hear in the quiet, to the whisper that never left, only waited. To the you that you buried beneath fear, approval, and performance. Jesus said, "He who has ears, let him hear." But not everyone does, because hearing isn't about volume, it's about surrender. Seeing isn't about eyesight, it's about awakening. You can live your whole life walking right beside the sacred and never see it. You can hear 1,000 sermons and never be moved. But then one moment comes, one disruption, one whisper, one sentence. And suddenly, you see, you hear, you return. You remember who you were before the world told you who to be. You remember the fire before the numbness. You remember the wonder before the weariness. And that moment is holy. That moment is now. Maybe you've wandered far. Maybe you've silenced every divine nudge with logic, fear, or pride. Maybe you've filled your life with noise so you wouldn't have to hear the truth. But grace has a way of reaching even the deaf, even the blind, even the stubborn, even you. There's no shame in the wandering. The shame is in refusing to return when you've been called home. And you're being called right now, not by a preacher, not by a podcast, by the Spirit, by the one who knows your name and still wants you anyway. The enemy would love for you to stay asleep, to keep running in circles, to scroll yourself into a coma of comparison and comfort. But your soul is too sacred for that. You were born for more than survival. You were born to see. You were born to hear. You were born to rise. Picture this. You're standing at the edge of everything you thought was gone. Joy, purpose, faith. You see it now. Not as far away, but right in front of you, waiting for your yes, waiting for your turning. And what does it take? Not perfection, not performance, just perception. A moment of clarity, a crack in the armor, a whisper of truth breaking through the noise. Can you feel it? Something shifting, something waking, something eternal calling your name. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't need to map the whole path. You just need to open your eyes and say yes, yes to the return, yes to the real you, yes to the God who still believes in you even when you stopped believing in him. You are not too lost. You are not too late. You are not too far. You are loved. You are pursued. You are remembered. So return. Return to the stillness. Return to the whisper. Return to the road that leads you back to the fire. You can, you will, you must declare it now. I will not live blind. I will not live deaf. I return with eyes to see and ears to hear. Say it again. Let heaven hear it. Let hell tremble from it. I return. I see. I hear. I'm home. Now is your time. Now is the shift. Now is the moment you wake up and never go back. Choose it, speak it, live it. The return has begun and you are ready.